and if I was to say at the present moment that I was then afraid of this gigantic sodomite, I should certainly tell a falsehood. And as I said before, both of us being in our shirts, he seized upon his sword, and while he was in the act of drawing it out of the scabbard, closed in with him, crotch-locked him, and hove him upon the floor upon his back, and fell upon him, when, having been a good deal hurt by the fall, he roared out for help, as loud as he could bawl. This, together with the noise of the fall, brought up the landlord and 2 male servants, and finding the chamber door where we was, locked upon the inside, they burst open the door, and without asking any questions they pulled me off my gallant, and who they supposed, as they afterwards told me, I was murdering, by his being undermost and crying out for help. As soon as the German found himself clear of me, he made for the chamber door, in his shirt, and without any weapon in his hand, he with precipitation descended the stairs, went out of the front door, and made his escape into the street. The Prussian left behind his uniform, his sword, his identification papers, and 50 guineas in cash. Fanning was amazed and disgusted. There are a great many of these characters in Germany, in the eastern parts of France, at Dunkirk, and a few in the city of Paris. And it is astonishing that there should be any of this class of people found either in France or Germany, when in both countries they have enacted laws which punish men with death who are guilty of the sin of sodomy. Fanning had spent some time in Dunkirk, and evidently had many occasions to observe homosexual activity in that busy port. He could not possibly imagine how very much larger the community of this class of people was in Paris. The very graphic and detailed account of Captain Nathaniel Fanning's unwanted sexual encounter with a Prussian officer first appeared in 1806 in his memoir titled Narrative of the Adventures of an American Navy Officer, who served during part of the American Revolution under the command of Commander John Paul Jones, Esquire. 2 years later, the book was posthumously republished under the title Memoirs of the Life of Captain Nathaniel Fanning. Unfortunately, anyone interested in homosexual activity involving early American naval officers will need to search out either the 1806 or the 1808 imprints, because when the text was republished in 1912 by the Naval History Society with the title Fanning's Narrative, the editor, Lieutenant Commander John S. Barnes, U.S. Navy, excised all mention of the encounter with the randy German, and when the book was reprinted in 1968, the publisher chose to use the censored 1912 version. Only someone paying close attention to the later editions would note a non sequitur, and be puzzled that the narrative jumps from a discussion of renting horses in Lille directly to a sentence that begins, "The internal regulation of the police in France deserves to be noticed." In the original, the subject of the French police is raised as a result of Fanning's assault in the Parisian hotel room, but a topic that was considered perfectly acceptable in the early 19th century had by the early 20th century become so objectionable that it was to be expurgated, without even an indication that something had been dropped. Therein lies our problem. In the effort to recapture the homosexual past through textual sources, Captain Fanning's narrative is an example of one type of obstruction, one in which the censorship was carried out silently. In other cases, editors unabashedly excise the passage in question and baldly inform the audience they are doing so for her or his own good. Even when historians do not rely on published works, and instead have the benefit of examining original manuscripts, another problem may arise: the squeamishness of some repositories and archives when faced with sexually explicit material within their own collections. Martin Duberman has described his struggle to publish excerpts from the 1826 correspondence of James H. Hammond and Thomas Jefferson Withers, 2 youths from South Carolina who shared an intimate friendship. Their letters are startlingly frank. Withers wrote to Hammond, "I feel some inclination to learn whether you yet sleep in your shirt-tail, and whether you yet have the extravagant delight of poking and punching a writhing bedfellow with your long fleshen pole, the exquisite touches of which I have often had the honor of feeling. Let me say unto thee that unless thou changest former habits in this